2, 1.
7 things you probably didn't know you need to know. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Smart 7.
Good morning, everybody. It's Friday the 6th of May, and it's No Diet Day. Hooray! And a big happy birthday to George Clooney, Tony Blair, Bob Seger, and Naomi Scott. The local elections took place across the UK on Thursday, while Northern Ireland held elections for the Stormont Assembly. Results are expected to flow in across the weekend, but there were some early gains for Labour in London, including taking control of Wandsworth and Barnet councils and potentially Westminster. Early signs are that the Lib Dems and Green Party may also make gains across the country. Former Downing Street pollster James Johnson says there's no sign of a seismic shift, though.
We're not seeing a situation like in the 90s, like in the early 2000s, where the Conservatives were really behind Labour on seats, nor are we seeing a Blair-style recovery for Labour. They're clearly not making big gains.
Meanwhile, the Bank of England moved to try and calm inflation on Thursday by raising interest rates for the 4th time in a row, placing them at 1%, the highest level since 2009. Governor Andrew Bailey was warning that an economic downturn is on the way.
Total real household disposable income is projected to fall by 1.75% in 2022, which would be the largest contraction since comparable records began in 1964. And I must say that I recognise the hardship this will cause for many people in the UK, particularly those on the lowest incomes, often with little or no savings, who are hit hardest by increases in the prices of basic necessities like food and energy.
The measure is intended to help reduce inflation, but in the short term at least it'll probably lead to higher mortgage rates and increases in the cost of other loans. He also says there's no immediate sign of inflation, which is currently at 7%, reducing anytime soon.
We do think that inflation is going to get somewhat higher as the year goes by.
Thursday saw Vladimir Putin apologise, at least according to Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, who spoke by phone with the Russian president. His apology was for the remarks by Foreign Minister Lavrov suggesting Adolf Hitler had Jewish roots, which caused outrage around the world. Putin also promised to set up a corridor for civilian evacuation from the Azovstal plant in Mariupol. However, Russia's assault on the steelworks is continuing, with Ukrainian President Zelensky saying more than 300 people have been rescued, but the damage to the plant is so severe they'll have to dig out survivors by hand.
We are negotiating and hope to continue rescuing people from Azovstal, from Mariupol. There are still civilians, women, children. In the current conditions, we cannot use special equipment to clear the debris. Everything is done manually, but we believe that everything will work out.
A new UN operation to rescue more civilians appears to be underway, and Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba says they're depending on the United Nations to secure a ceasefire for the evacuation.
Their reputation is at stake because if they fail, it will be the failure of the United Nations. We tried to negotiate these corridors with Russia. They always cheated. They always tricked us. The United Nations invested their reputation in this operation, which we appreciate. And now everything depends on the Russians.
The World Health Organization updated the death toll from the COVID-19 pandemic on Thursday. They now estimate that almost 15 million people have died as a result of the disease. That's a significantly higher number than the official figures provided by countries around the world, and it's caused a 13% increase in the number of deaths over the last 2 years. The World Health Organization's Director General was also warning that there are 2 new Omicron variants, BA4 and BA5, emerging in South Africa.
It's too soon to know whether these new subvariants can cause more severe disease than other Omicron subvariants. But early data suggests vaccination remains protective against severe disease and death.
Billionaire philanthropist Bill Gates has just written a book helpfully entitled How to Prevent the Next Pandemic, and he says we're not out of the woods yet with COVID-19.
We can't completely ignore this pandemic, but we don't yet have tools like where you take the vaccine once and you're protected for life and it stops you from getting infected. That's the kind of tool that we need to really put this behind us and for future pandemics.
The Amber Heard and Johnny Depp libel trial continued on Thursday, with Amber back in the hot seat. She testified about multiple incidents of assault, including a row on a plane between Boston and Los Angeles when his jealousy over her friendship with James Franco led to him kicking her. She also thought her nose was broken at one point after a row when he accused her of flirting with a woman at the 2014 Met Gala.
I remember he threw a bottle at me. It missed me, but it broke the chandelier. At some point, Johnny and I are in a struggle in the living room, and he kind of like shoves me down on the sofa at some point, and he just whacks me in the face. I think that was the first time I was like, is this a broken nose? At the time, I was unsure what that feeling was, but I suspected I had a broken nose. And other than that, I was relatively unscathed.
Still to come on the Smart 7, great news for Game of Thrones fans and bad news for West Ham fans. Right after this. Welcome back.
After the excitement of two thrilling Champions League semi-finals on Tuesday and Wednesday, it was the turn of the Europa League to play out their semi-finals. West Ham faced Eintracht Frankfurt in Germany with the Hammers 2-0 down from the first leg. But after a red card for Aaron Cresswell and then manager David Moyes, they couldn't turn things around and Frankfurt are headed to the final. Rangers were at home to RB Leipzig, having lost the first leg 1-0, but put in a storming performance to win the second leg 3-1 and qualify for the Europa League final for the first time since 2008. Rangers' new manager Giovanni was delighted to be heading to Seville on May the 18th.
It's been an amazing night. We said before the game we're going to do everything possible to make sure we're in the final, and I think the players were fantastic.
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness hit cinemas this weekend, with Benedict Cumberbatch back in the world's most useful cape. The movie's got a host of big-name guest stars, including WandaVision's Elizabeth Olsen, but there's been quite a lot of fan speculation about what role she's playing. Is it good Wanda, or really quite bad and scary Wanda? Jimmy Fallon asked the question, are you a villain?
I love my characters.
Oh, okay.
You know, I'm their advocate. I defend them.
Okay.
I just played an axe murderer, and I love her, and I think she's fabulous.
Wow. Wow. All right. So that's
coming to you in fall.
Oh, yeah. Bring the whole family.
Great news for Game of Thrones fans, the new trailer for the prequel The House of the Dragons just dropped. It's set 200 years before the Game of Thrones we all loved. Well, right up until the last two episodes anyway. It's got an all-new cast including Paddy Considine, Rhys Ifans, Emma Darcy and Olivia Cook. But let's face it, there are only three questions that any Game of Thrones fans wants answered. Are there games?
I say aye.
Are there thrones?
I say aye.
Are there dragons?
I say aye.
It'll hit Sky Atlantic on August the 22nd.
Promise to be faithful to King Viserys and to his named heir,
Princess Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra Targaryen.
Men would sooner put the realm to the torch than see a woman ascend the Iron Throne.
This has been the Smart 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Have a great day. Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.